who specializes in narrated apps and you give them a demo that focuses on or specializes in narrated apps, they're very likely to hire you at some point if they need a voice actor, or I should say, at least consider you rather than a voice actor who does a little bit of everything, a jack of all trades. So that's a big focus in the industry right now, really sort of fine tuning where it is that you best belong in the industry. And you base that upon your personal interests, your goals, your lifestyle, the amount of time you have available to work, the kind of clients you want to work with, whether you are union or not, and all sorts of things. And it doesn't take long to figure out what genre or subgenres are best for you if you know the questions to ask. So I'm happy to do that for anyone if you guys want. Or, but it is important to figure out where you belong and market toward that genre.
Um, okay, I love all the places that we are here from in the chat. It's really fun for me to know all the places that my people are located in, and just for those who have your cameras on and people are being festive, it's really really great. I'm into it. Amy, I didn't even notice your tree in your booth. Wow, I'm just amazing. Um, so Richard Green, new guy. We love the new guys. Welcome. How do we feel? And we've had this conversation. We had it in depth with Tom. How do you really feel, Tom? As we like to say. Do you? He is asking David, how do you feel about pay to play voiceover sites like Voices.com, etc. If you can.
Yeah, they're fantastic. If I was a voice actor and not a director, I would absolutely be on the online casting sites without question. Um, I'll say this very quickly because it has come up in, as Siobhan said, in many previous Ask Me Anything sessions. So some of you have heard this answer. So the very, very quick rundown is that if you look online, if you ask other voice actors, if you read voice acting forums, you will find lots of people who really disparage the online casting sites. Um, and either those people don't understand how the online casting sites work, or they have just not been fortunate on them, maybe because they're not trained well, or they don't know how to operate those systems well, or they're just grumpy old Grinches. Who knows? Um, some people are upset by the fees that those companies take out, but you know what? It's still a wonderful place to get a lot of auditions, a lot of experience, and you can really build your career. So yes, I think that they are terrific. And if I would suggest to anyone to use them, well, I will suggest to everyone to use them. I think they're great.
They are great, and just and they are it's an in-depth journey, and we did just have a class on online casting, but we do have coaches who can bring you through this journey if you need really specific help, which makes a lot of sense because you can kind of feel like a minotaur of the pay to play labyrinth. From Peter, a controversial issue in the industry: when to put yourself out there as a new talent. The veteran experts seem to be divided. One camp is saying, do it immediately. It is great experience to audition, get rejected, market, get demo feedback, and it will only make you better. But the other camp is saying, if you put yourself out there before you are great, you are shooting yourself in the foot and quite possibly ending your career forever. I do love dramatic statements, so that's great. Before it has even begun. The reason being that clients remember bad auditions and one slip up, and many clients will never give you a second chance. And in the worst case scenario, place you on blacklists shared with other clients. What are your thoughts, David Goldberg? And hello from Central France. I'm coming for you for the champagne someday. But okay. Uh, David.
Skip the champagne, go for the crepes. Oh, yum.
Oh,
So look, to answer your question, it really depends on you and how you are marketing yourself and the genre in which you're marketing to. Many factors to consider. If you are trying to if you are going directly to some end users like recording studios or production houses, places that may not receive that many voice acting demos, places that may remember your name, and if you sound horrible and or if you submit a crappy sounding audition, of course they'll likely remember you, and yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yet if you're on online casting sites, it may not be nearly as bad. I did suggest once, and I'll make the suggestion time, and I will preface my suggestion by saying I'm not sure how ethical this is to think about it, and as I say it, I'll think more. But perhaps uh, go out there with a pseudonym of some sort, so change your name, mark it away. I could see that it could backfire as I think about it, because if you do really well, you get some big, terrific job, but you've marketed yourself as, Bob when your name is actually David or something. Well, then do you tell your clients one day, well, sorry, I was lying about my name? Maybe it could backfire. Maybe if you get payment to Bob, then you can't cash the check. I don't know. These are business related questions you'd have to think about, and I could think about it later if you want. Uh, but I think overall, it is a good idea to get experience. There's a feature on our website called the feedback forum, which might be a sort of a good compromise for everyone. The feedback forum is a free peer-to-peer review site, and it forces you to record a script. So you go through the trials and errors of recording and editing, and then you upload that script to the feedback forum, just like you would upload an audition or a job to a client. And then other voice actors give you feedback on it. So you can sort of do that as a good compromise. It gives you a lot of experience. It's free. So just go to the forums on our website and look for the feedback forum. So good compromise.
I'm very curious if people I know I've got a wide range of voice actors in the house tonight. And so I'm very curious if in fact someone has had all of those horrible things happen to them. Like is that like have people had this experience of being blacklisted because of their terrible audition and people not wanting, I mean, has
We
that
have
you have
Siobhan,
black
in our production department. There are voice actors who we have, like, on the list that we will never hire again. But that list is created from for all different reasons. There are voice actors that we will never, absolutely will never hire again because they are rude to our clients. I mean, it's one thing. It's bad enough being rude to us, right? We're hiring you, but they are rude to our client. There are voice actors who we won't hire because they tell us that the price will be the job rather will be one price, and then they change it, and they say, no, 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 you said it was, this other number. um, there is one voice actor who we can't ever hire back because they always wear so much cologne that the smell, the scent of the cologne would stay in the booth, and no matter how many times we said, please come in without the cologne, you can't wear the cologne. You guys can imagine in a truly airtight, soundproofed vocal booth, that scent will stay for days. And the next voice actor who's in that booth could be allergic or could just bother their throat, especially if they're narrating a long form script. And they just continued to use it, and two strikes and they were out. I mean, we have a blacklist for all different reasons. I don't think I like that name, blacklist. Um, and certainly some of them are just because of bad auditions, really, really bad auditions. And sometimes we do remember those names. But more than often, the list of names that we won't hire is just because people are rude, crude, they don't listen, they forget, they're late all of the time. They just make our lives miserable.
yeah,
So there's the advice.
these are
Remember, the people who hire you are your clients. They're paying you. Like, be nice to them.
the
Be on
behavior.
time.
Right. These are like behaviors and demeanors and manner and
Totally.
dialogue. All of that stuff is like the thing that people that's your number that's your priority is be a decent human being.
Yeah. In life, much less just voiceover, right? But like
Yeah,
I said, if we do have people who audition and they're not good. They're not trained, their demo doesn't sound professional and so on. And so of course we're not going to hire them.
I think what I'm seeing between the chat and what David is getting at is that and people can, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think what we're getting at is like don't not try stuff just because you're new. Like you should be putting yourself out there. However, we firmly believe wherever you get the training that you do need the training and that you do need professional demos and you need to have a professional disposition in general so that you actually do have a sense of what you're doing in your auditions. Like you
Yeah.
need to be proud of your auditions and you need to have that confidence instilled in you by professionals.
And
And then,
and something be oh, sorry, Siobhan, keep going.
no, no, and I was just going to say, I think that that is going to absolve you from any of these absolutely horrifically terrifying, you know,
Yeah.
potentials.
But also make sure that you don't mark until you can comfortably duplicate the sound quality on your demo. So I could take someone who is totally untrained and give them line reads and and get them through it. And that happens quite often if a CEO of a business wants to record a training video or a holiday greeting for their 10,000 employees. They're not trained voice actors, and they'll come in, and when they read, they don't sound professional. But again, we'll give them a line read, read this word like this and read the second word like that, and we do crazy amounts of editing and lots of EQing, and we work really hard. And by the time it's done, the script sounds really good, so they might listen to that and be complimented on it. And they might say, "Well, man, I've gotten so many compliments on my voice. I think I'll send this out and try to get some other work." But they can't duplicate the sound quality, their performance that is on the demo. And then you are absolutely shooting yourself in the foot because you're misrepresenting yourself, and you're wasting the time of anyone who listens to that demo who considers hiring you, totally wasting their time. And that has happened to us on many occasions. Over the years, there we have certainly had, I mean, thousands of jobs probably in which our client says we don't want to do auditions, where we need to fast track this production job. We don't have the budget for auditions for whatever reason. We just skip auditions, and they hire a voice actor off of the voice actor's demo, and that voice actor submits the paid job, and it doesn't sound that good. And that's another reason why someone will go on the list of names not to hire, because we say, wow, you know what, their demo sounds great, but they can't do that in real life. They must have recorded that demo with a coach. So again, make sure that you can duplicate what is on your demo. Anytime I work with a voice actor, I will not let that voice actor record a demo until I feel that, you know what, they can do this on their own. Sure, I'm there during the demo recording session to remind them of the things that we talked about and stuff, but I get people to do the work on their own, and that's really important.
Mm, mm. Thank you, David. From Jeff, how about practice? This is funny. David and I were doing, we were like, the BTS of these things are very silly with me and David before the show. But he's asking about practice. Any tips on how to practice better, vocal exercises, efficiency, etc.?
Yeah, I do think that the feedback form, which I mentioned earlier, is the best way to practice, because you can screw up as much as you want, and your peers are going to help you, right? It's a peer-to-peer site. Everyone helps everyone, which is fantastic. So it's through that feedback form that you'll learn, you know what? I don't know if everyone on that feedback form who's my recordings is professional or knows what they're doing, but when the vast majority of reviews come in and they all say you're too this or too that, like for example, too slow or too fast when you read or whatever, then you start to think, hey, there must be something up here. So it's a great way to learn and a great way to practice, and you can really monitor your practicing and monitor your progress. So that's terrific. And if you're talking about vocal exercises, um, the best person to speak with at Edge is Lara Herner. She teaches a class on vocal performance, vocal warm-ups, and so on. And she is dynamite. She's a speech pathologist, a voice actor, a whole bunch of vocal things combined, and she's the one to really ask that question to. But I do think that doing some vocal warm-ups is key, and I don't think we have time to go into all of the different types of vocal warm-ups, but figure out which ones work best for you, and experiment with them. Every day, try a different warm up, see which works best, and then put that one into full time practice.
Mm, and then it becomes part of your practice, and feels yeah, it just feels part of like what you do in your day. Um,
Exactly.
Specifically to Edge and folks who might be training at Edge, Alexis is coaching for her first demo right now. Can you talk about the process of recording my demo at home with Edge? Is there some kind of checkup for my home studio first? Great question, David.
And the answer is yes. Yeah. We won't let anyone record from their home studio until we check it. And that's in fact, there's a couple of voice actors on this call right now who are working professionals who have dynamite sounding studios. and they can attest to the fact that we still do a sound check with them, because over the years we've come across way too many voice actors who swear up and down that their studios have broadcast quality, um, broadcast quality, and they don't. So yeah, we will make sure that we test your studio. If the quality is not there, you can always find a local studio and go to that, and we can phone patch in or Skype in or source connect in and do the recording that way.
It is true that things are still taking a little more time because we are mindful of the health of our dear team
Yeah.
and not, we're not in the studio because of that. So it's tough. It's certainly a different process. And, as soon as we can get in there again full time, we will. Um, this is a question I'm going to actually ask this for people to put in the chat because we are not really in the space of like endorsing particular gear because it's different for everybody and etc. But Cam is asking if people they are looking to upgrade their audio converter. So does anybody have specific brand recommendations for an audio converter? Um, at this point, it's so different for everybody's studio. So it's hard for me and David to kind of tell you what to get. um, so we can keep cruising here. I do have Erica. I learned in an Edge class that we should divide our full demo into its spots for casting sites. This is partly related to algorithms, but I was wondering how casting directors think about labels. What would a casting director find helpful in the descriptors for the breakout spots?
Great question. And the most thing to a voice to a casting person is the style of voice that you are using, rather than the name of the client. For example, you're recording a commercial for the Honda Civic. The words Honda and and Civic, those aren't nearly as important as the type of read, the type of performance you're offering. So, is it a commercial? Is it a training video for Honda? Is it a podcast for the Honda Civic? And so on. And what emotion are you using in your voice? Is it high energy or soft sell? Those are the things that clients need to know up front. And those are so important to the client that I always suggest to voice actors that they include those on their demo, rather on their website. So sometimes you even want to lead with those rather than saying Honda Civic commercial. You might say commercial, low key, or high energy, and then almost parenthetically, as because it's less important, you can put Honda Civic.
Mm,
The
but
only nice thing about having something like Honda Civic is it shows that it's a national spot, and that is certainly attractive to a potential client. But again, the more key thing is the style of voice that you use and the genre in which you're recording.
that's super helpful. I hope that makes sense, Erica. Like, yeah, like folksy or yeah, whatever the vibe that the style, this thinking about your style, and that might be something that can be hard to do, but it's a good practice to start to get into because then those are ways that you can brand yourself. I can do this kind of sound, essentially. Um, Dina asking, do you think, David, that studios will return to normal even after this pandemic is over? Or has delivery via home studios now been completely legitimized?
It's hard to say. Um, I think that a lot of jobs will eventually return back to the professional studios, but keep in mind, and this is by the way, a great answer to lead into the future. Over the past 10 years or so, since the home studio has become so popular, uh, the commercial studios like ours, they've become they really have focused on different type or solely on a certain type of recording. In other words, when a client needs to hire a single voice actor to record something like a basic training video, there's a very likely chance that that casting team, that client, is going to go to one of the online casting sites and find a voice actor, or an agent and find a voice actor. Where our studios come in handy, where our commercial spaces come in handy, are for sessions which have multiple voice actors or multiple clients, because you can't do that at your home studio, right? You can't have multiple clients and multiple voice actors in your home studio. You don't have the insurance for that type of work. Our studios come in handy for celebrity recordings because a celebrity voice actor, or even a celebrity actor, whoever it might be, or the CEO of a company who wants to record something for their employees, is not typically going to go to a voice actor's home studio. So they will come to our commercial space. When the client needs extraordinarily high quality, they come to us. When the jobs are very long and are very complex, they come to us. When the jobs are multiple languages, they come to us. When they need translation, all types of other services, they come to us. So the commercial studios have been leaning on those types of jobs over the past 10 years. And yeah, like Siobhan just said, I mean, our studios have been closed since mid-March. Or March 9th, we closed down for the pandemic. And and a lot of our jobs were put on hold, and some of those jobs have come back, and the clients have said, "Look, we have to get this done. Like we just have to. So just farm it out, do whatever you can." But we have clients who are really aching to get back into the studio and do it the way that they used to do it. So I just think that that trend will continue. Commercial studios will offer one type of service where all of you from your home studio can offer the more straightforward one voice actor, one type of one client, straightforward. Keep in mind, some of our projects we get are hundreds of hours. When e-learning programs for a state or something, we're dealing with thousands of pages of scripts in multiple languages and different chapters and subchapters and sections, and some have video and some don't, and some have slides and some don't. I mean, it's crazy complex. We have to put an admin person sometimes just to monitor one job, and that is just too much to do from a home studio. So yeah, I think that that divide will continue once the pandemic is. I hope so, because every day we have 5 studios in Times Square sitting empty. It kills me. Is what it
It's not fun, guys. It's not it's just not fun. But these
Yeah, I
questions
mean,
are
there's dust on our I think there's probably dust on our microphones, and that alone is just when you own, 5 studios, you don't want dust on your mics.
I don't even want to I don't like thinking I feel bad for the mics. Like that's sad. That's a
Yeah,
sad
right.
um but these questions are great. I'm just going to answer Erica out loud. Does the David demo, so for the links that I dropped, does the David demo just the demo record, or does it include the 5 sessions and demo prep? Yes, it's the entire package of training with David. So jump on it, because like Dina said, it's a I think she said those are crazy savings. So yep, we crazy up in here today. From Ty, can you address the topic of having backup capability, like a separate system or hardware or software in a home studio setup? What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, everyone should back up everything. I mean, there's nothing else to be said about it. You never know what a client will need. Um, it could be 3 years down the road that the client calls you back and says, "You know what? That project you recorded 3 years ago, we need to re-record one slide." You better have that project ready. Know where it is. Label your files so you can find things. Whether you have a naming convention by date or client name or project title or whatever it is, make darn sure that you can find all of your files and your projects that you've worked on. Make sure you maintain notes as to which microphone you used and the settings that you recorded with, so that you can match the sound quality. In other words, one person asked earlier today if that they're thinking of upgrading a microphone, and so don't get rid of your old microphone. Keep it, because every microphone sounds different. So save that old microphone in case you do have to match to a previously recorded project. And yeah, back up everything.
David, are agents becoming obsolete?
No, not obsolete. Their roles have changed to some degree over the past number of years or so. Agents have a lot of agents are actually expanding what they offer. They're expanding, they're offering to their clients more than just commercials. They're offering narrations and other types of work. It's not super popular, but it's becoming more and more common. So I think that that is the trend that I'm seeing right now, because there's such non-commercial work out there. I've said on previous Ask Me Anything's, commercial is about 3% of the voiceover industry. It's an estimated 3%. And so if an agent only offers their clients commercial voice acting, well then theoretically they're shying away from 97% of opportunities out there. So if they help the company Honda record a commercial for the Civic, why shouldn't that same casting agent be able to offer their client a voice actor who can record the training videos and the kiosk videos for the car dealerships and the telephony recordings for when you call honda.com, and So it just makes logical sense. The agent can expand their offering, so it's happening. So I absolutely do not see agents going obsolete.
Um, from Stephanie, I have a lot of experience doing sessions and auditions, but have never marketed myself, so I don't have a website yet. I know I can reach out to people I already know, but should I get a website before I go onto casting sites, etc.?
I think it's extremely helpful to have a website. Absolutely. So when you market on an online casting site, it's uh, it's it's somewhat likely that the client will listen to the voice actor's various samples, and they may even go further and click voice actor's bio to learn more about them. And sometimes the client will say, you know what, let me check their website for more information. And if there's no website, it's certainly a turnoff. So, and that's because it's just sort of expected these days that if you are in business for yourself, you have something online to show people. But if you're on an online casting site, you get a page, you get a web page. So some voice actors count that as their website. But then the problem with that is that it's not optimized very well. In other words, search engine optimization is not taking place, and you can't tailor the page to your specific needs and strengths and so on. So you're sort of stuck. So yeah, I would suggest that every voice actor have a website. And there are some companies out there that do that build websites, website developing companies that specialize in the voiceover world, like voiceactorwebsites.com is terrific. A few of them are good. Voice actor websites really is, I think, just dynamite. I would trust them. If I was a voice actor, I would hire them to record to rather to build my own website.
Um, yes, websites definitely legitimize you right off the bat. And firmly believe Tom said this to us last week, last session. And I thought this was very profound when he said, your time is more important than your money, which is crazy and feels confusing. But paying someone to build your site so you're not like spending arduous hours tweaking your Squarespace, I highly recommend saving up so that you don't have to do all that yourself. You do not need to do that. There are professionals who can do that once you can afford to have them do it for you. Um, and going through, Todd is saying that he finds the Edge Forum to be excellent, great for personal motivation and instant constructive feedback gratification. We love to see it.
Cool.
That's fabulous. Yeah. And Peter, yes, thank you for asking these really good questions. This was about the whether or not you might get blacklisted by clients, and he's saying that these dramatic statements were they're from highly professional people in the world, and I think we're echoing them just with a specific means of like without not letting that fear stop you from doing the stuff. You got to get out there at some point. So okay, how do we feel, David, about doing free voice acting or narration works for volunteer sites like LibriVox, non-professional audio drama production companies, and using those for voice samples? What do you think, David?
I I think it's okay. I'm okay with it. I mean, Edge Studio, we donate a lot of voiceover services to nonprofits. We're doing a huge one right now. I'm not yet allowed to say what the client is, but it's a name that I think everyone or virtually everyone would recognize. And we're doing a tremendous amount of work for this company. It's a nonprofit. We're donating our services, our time. We got a little bit of money for the voice actors, but outside of that, we're everything else is being donated by Edge Studio. And I don't know. I personally, if it's an organization that I personally believe in and I want to support, then I let our teams do that. But that's a position that not everyone is necessarily in. And then when it comes down to some of the sites that you mentioned, Siobhan, or that the person who asked the question asked about, sometimes you're just really helping someone out by doing it, right? If you're helping a university or college and offering something like offering voiceover to them, and you're helping people along the way, if it's a do good, feel good thing, yeah, I think go for it. I think that's personally my feeling is, and I should say that this is all very subjective on this topic, but personally, I feel that if the person you provide voiceover services to is making money, then you should not offer it. It's not fair. In other words, if a company calls you and says, "Hey, we need voiceover. Can you donate your services?" Well, and then you find out that the company who's or the person who's asking you to donate your services is an ad agency, and yeah, maybe they're putting together a commercial for the Red Cross or something like that. So you're thinking, "Oh my goodness, the Red Cross, I'd love to donate my services." But then the advertising agency is making money off of the Red Cross. And if the ad agency is getting paid, well, then I think it only makes fair sense that you get paid. So that's sort of where we draw the line. I think that the person who contacts us can't be being paid. They should not be paid. And we have to personally feel good about that opportunity.
I think those are great lines to draw of like valuing yourself, but also working on something you really believe in and want to support. And I think it's great, like when we think about what we all have to offer in this world, your talent as a voice actor is something you have to offer. And if there is an organization that has some kind of video content regarding whatever, whatever that video content is, and it's lacking, you can always, and I think when you're offering, this is kind of like harkens back to one of Dina's questions way before, way back, way back. If it's you're offering a volunteer service, you can say, hey, next time you release a video like this, I would love to donate my services for this campaign, for this project, for the, for the far at the national parks or whatever it is. I don't know, just examples, but donating your talent to something you believe in is great. And if it is a great organization and it looks good and it was just lacking in like a quality voice, then that is something you can have. And I do think that's a cool thing to think about, something that you could give to in 2021, if you have time. Lord help us all. But like, I think that's cool. And I think that's a good question.
And you can seek companies out. So should not be a political conversation here. And Siobhan and I won't let it. But when Obama ran the very first term way back, Barack Obama, I was personally supporting him. And again, I don't want to make this a political conversation, but I reached out to those teams and I said, I would love to donate my services to help in any way that I can. And we ended up, Edge Studio ended up providing voiceover services for that campaign. When the pandemic began back in March, I reached out to the CDC and all sorts of organizations that were putting out public service announcements for face mask wearing and what does COVID mean and videos online. And I reached out to the public health departments, especially in Washington State. And it was cool. We ended up providing voiceover, and that was great. But those are things that I went at and I said, you know what, this is something that I want to have my business donate to. And rather than just sending a check, which is the easier thing to do, I contacted people and found the right people and made it happen.
Yeah, perfect example. That's awesome. I remember actually when you started doing that, David, when the pandemic hit. That was like, I was like, wow, he's like on it. Cause I was like, I felt overwhelmed. And David's like, what is it? These are some organizations I think we're going to be helping. And I was like, what? So thinking fast also during, if any other potential crises are in our on our horizons. Let's hope not. But so Bob, I'm just going to answer you really quickly. When I see an Edge Studio email about the first 15 people to sign up for a sale, for a discount, if I see it a day or so, how do I know that the 15-person quota hasn't been filled? Go for it. Go for it. I think it won't say sold out unless it's officially sold out, but the system will lock you out if the code doesn't work. So just like type that in there. I do it all the time. I'm like, is this sale expired? Or when I'm online shopping, not that I do that, that's a hypothetical. Moving on. Okay, as a recording, all right, from Nadine, as a recording artist, I know when I'm ready to record, but as a voiceover actor, who helps me decide whether I'm ready to make a voiceover demo? The engineer, the coach, or the acting instructor? David, you want to tackle that?
Yeah, I would suggest your voiceover coach because engineers they focus on different things. They focus on plosives and sound quality and background noise and resonance and those types of things. And an acting coach, most acting coaches don't know a thing about voiceover, and I'm not saying that in any negative way. I don't know much about acting coaches, what they do, and nor should an acting coach know much about voiceover. And then further to that point, if your acting coach specializes in stage theater, then they're teaching you how to project your voice, which is the last thing you'd ever want on a voiceover demo. So I would trust a rather a voiceover coach before anyone else.
I have seen a few questions in the chat about if you can purchase a home studio check-in with us, even if you're not doing a demo with us, and you absolutely can. We have a myriad of super fun and talented people who will approve or not, who will talk you through what's going on with your studio. So you absolutely can do that just as a separate item. So fantastic, and please do. And okay, and quality demos, and yes, quality demos can be created remotely. We will walk you through it. When we find problems with your studio as it is, we will tell you exactly what that is and what we suggest you do based on your setup and your specific space itself. It's different every time, so we don't have like a it's really varying, but we are going to walk you through that so that you can record. Okay, I'm trying to get to everybody. Here we go. Liliana, if we have an additional marketable skill, such as singing, how can we incorporate that in our demo or in how we market ourselves to get jobs that are looking for someone with such a skill?
Yeah, great question. It depends on it depends on a few factors. One is if there's one career that you're pushing more than the other. So, do you want voiceover to be your primary career and singing as a sort of a secondary career, or the reverse, or do you want to work in both of those genres? Um, Another big factor is whether or not the genres that you will offer in the voiceover world require singing. So if you are recording telephony recordings, if that's your focus in the voiceover world, I don't think casting teams will ever need a voice actor who provides telephony to sing. But if you're offering animation voiceover work or audiobook voiceover work or commercial voiceover work, then there are more opportunities for a voice actor who can sing. So sometimes you can merge those two on the same demo. You may actually have a jingle and then you do the voiceover as well. And there are a number of different ways that I've worked with singers over the years to do that, to incorporate voiceover and singing. But again, it depends on so many variables. I it has to be sort of, I'd have to sit down with someone for probably 15 or 20 minutes and figure out exactly what it is that you're trying to do and hear your voice, understand the style of singing that you sing, and then take it from there.
Fantastic. And I wanted to read this out loud in case people missed it. Carla, we're big fans of you, Carla. Thanks for being here with us. She's saying, if it's helpful, David and Siobhan, a friend who is a commercial voice actor of over 20 years standing in Melbourne, Australia, where it is summer right now, uh, her friend let her know that during lockdown, he recorded from home. And when the city reopened, he's now mostly back in person studios. A little bit different because Australia is literally a world away from what we are experiencing here in this country. But he thinks that the engineers and clients prefer to be in the studios, in the professional studios. It's really varying all the time, but I do suspect that there will be a number of, gosh, it's going to be ever changing. I think we're in an ever changing world. Lexi, I am new and scheduled to start my coaching with Edge Studio. Very excited. We love the new people and the new faces. Um, should I start auditioning prior to my training?
No, I would wait. I would absolutely wait until you get some training. For the mere fact that, as it came up earlier, there is the chance that you you set a bad rap for yourself. If people remember your name that you don't audition well, I would not do that. I would use the feedback form. They go through the steps involved, the process involved of auditioning, but do it through the feedback form. So rather than reaching clients, you'll reach your peers who can then provide feedback on your voice and your delivery and everything like that, and your studio quality too.
And Lexi, it's a great question because your sessions are going to be geared towards your demo, right? Exploring scripts, learning what your wheelhouse is, your coach telling you this kind of style works for you, this thing we're not going to do because that's not your ultimate strength. But you could also pre-record an audition that you have seen and just to for your coach as well and include
Hmm.
that in your training, like, hey, here's an audition, can we break down can we break down this audition as well? I think that's actually fantastic. And our coaches are really good at, tearing you apart, which is good for, which is really good practice. Lexi also likes my red lipstick and glasses, and thank you. I love your gold hoops. So we are bringing it today. But yeah, I think that's really great. It's really wonderful to do audition technique with a private coach. Wow, I've learned a lot from using some of my coaching sessions at Edge for that purpose. Okay, carrying on, we're in the 10-minute stretch here. Adrian or Adrian, I love this name. It's such a beautiful name. When finding work in a local city/county area, then talking with local business owners in person, is this a good start when reaching out to potential clients? Or is reaching out online the only way for clients? So, yeah, so in person or online is the question. Tough question for the modern world. You're really, what do you think, David?
So can the modern world be old school? Absolutely. I think that if you are good talking with people, if you're good walking the street, knocking on doors, so to speak, or even making cold calls, you can do extraordinarily well in this business. If you know who you're contacting and you reach them and you have the right message to convey, then you can do, yeah, you can absolutely build your business. I know many voice actors who are so successful and they've never been on online casting sites. And again, the opposite is true. I know many voice actors who are extremely successful only by marketing on the online casting sites, and they've never made a cold call. They've never knocked on anyone's door. They've never sent an unsolicited email. And I know many, many more people like that. But to the question, if you are good at talking with people, like I said, oh, absolutely market directly. Direct marketing is the way to go. But it's really, really key that you define yourself correctly, that you convey the right message. Because if you just send a voiceover demo and you say, "Hey, I'm a voice actor. Here's my demo," you're not going to get work, or a very unlikely chance that you will get work. But if you reach someone and you have their first name and you give them a quick compliment and you explain why you're reaching them. For example, they provide a type of service to their client that you also provide narration for, and then you talk about perhaps sort of grabbing a phone call or a cup of coffee with them post COVID, and you'd like to kind of toss around some ideas and see if it makes sense to work together. Well, then it's not a hard sell, unsolicited call. It's more of a, hey, let me see if I can help you sort of phone call. And you may actually grab a client that way. So, yeah, it's a great thing to do.
It's good, especially when we're out there learning our people skills and shilling yourself. I saw a meme that said it was like there were like two little cartoons, and the one cartoon was like, "How do I be confident?" And the other one was like, "You fake it." And the thing responds, "Well, when do I stop faking it?" And the other one says, "Never." and, I,
That
and
sounds like my time travel little expression earlier.
it's like you're choosing to be in this industry, so you just fake it till you make it, or forever, whatever that means to you, which is really something. In our last couple of minutes, I like this question too.
Wait, wait,
From
wait, wait, wait. I'm sorry, Siobhan.
Yeah,
Before you ask the next question,
yeah.
I have many times I have had to fake it, especially when I began Edge Studio. So, very quick story. Edge Studio was originally a music studio and did like extremely well in the music world. But early 2000s, we switched over from music into voiceover recording, and there were a whole lot of differences. And I remember at times being on the phone with a potential client, and the client would say, "Can you offer this type of file, like an XYZ file name or something like that?" And I would say, "Yeah, of course we can." At the same time, I'd be searching Google to see what is that file name, like having no clue what it was. Sometimes you just have to go for it. I also knew that we had a really good team, and I can't imagine in a million years that we can't provide anything that a client needs. So I had confidence, as Siobhan is saying, I had great confidence that we could do it. And even if our particular engineers couldn't, I'm sure we could find an engineer who could. So, but just to carry on the conversation, I would be researching things while on the phone with someone, and sometimes you have to sort of, move quickly. So when you're marketing, so maybe the key is to Be prepared, be at Google, be ready to search things, but also do your homework before you contact the way. Okay. Really important. Do your homework, learn as much about someone as you can, learn about their needs, their desires, what they've done in past, who they've worked with in past. Do some digging around. It will further the conversation. It'll be really good for you. Okay. Sorry
Um,
to interject. Come on.
no, you're marvelous. People have been asking about the home studio consultations. And I'm dropping that link once again for where you can book that. And you can use the code AMA for $25 off just because you are hanging out with us. So let's get one more question in here in the last 5 minutes. I think this is cool too. Guys, great job on the questions today, class. Really, I mean, they're all varied and they're really interesting, and we've heard a lot of different perspectives from the group. It's just wow, like moving into the new year. I hope we all continue to be as well read as we are today. So, David, how important is a bio on a website? All I've ever done is work through one agent that I'm no longer with. I've done some national spots for national brands, but I can't really discuss clients. I don't know if I can be vague about my experience either, though. How short and simple can I be in a bio for voiceover?
Yeah, clients don't necessarily want the typical bio. More the client typically wants to know that they can trust you. And the trust is going to come from testimonials on your website and pictures of you at the microphone on your website and jobs that you've done. And if you can't say the name of the job or the client, there's nothing ever wrong with saying uh, 17 national spots and put the logos of the ones that you can put. 55 regional commercials, 17 documentaries, and just fill it up with as much as you can. They don't have to know that everything's come from one agent. And if you've only had, if one agent has given you work only from one client, so for example, that agent gives you 50 commercials a week for a local car dealership, and you're not at liberty to say what car dealerships they are, nor what agent you're working through. So now you're thinking, well, I only have one client, the agent, who only sends me one client, the car dealership. And even though I do a boatload of work for them, or that would be a carload of work for the car dealership, what do you put on your website? Then you can talk about just again the numbers, how many spots you work. You are recording roughly 27 hours a week of voiceover, spending 13 hours a week of editing. I mean, put some statistics down. Give the client something somehow that they can trust you. That's all the client needs. They just need trust. So, like I said, testimonials, photos, and facts, whether it's the client name, the client logo, the number of hours you record, the number of jobs you've done, how long you've been full time at voiceover, how many satisfied commercials are out there. Spend 3 hours calculating how many people have listened to the work that you've done, right? So if your local car dealerships are going to an audience of 30,000 people, or they're estimated to be 30,000 listeners, and you've recorded 100 recordings, well, that's 300,000 listeners. I mean, do some math, find something that can give you some credibility. And that's all, that is all I think you need.
Woo! And with that, I think what would also be great as our final thing is if people want to drop if you have your voiceover website, let's drop it in. We usually do social media handles, but I think tomorrow I'd love to post people's websites and we can look at each other's websites and talk about what we like. And, we can fill out each other's contact forms or whatever it is. Yeah, let's do it. I'd love it. I love to see it. I want to thank you all so very much for being here with us. Thank you for spending 20 sessions, that's 40 weeks, doing these AMAs. Truly, we miss you. We are, we have 5 booths because we love being with y'all actually in person. And so you being here with us, it means a lot to us. And I am dropping these links in the chat once more. If you are totally brand new to this, we do have a discount for our investigate voiceover class. It's 10% off any IVO. It'll get you in the door, figure out your stuff, sort it out, move through 2021 with some power. There is the IVO code for that. Once more, the David demo. The David demo and coaching sale is done on December 30th. So you have until then to get it. You can maybe get some holiday cash and then spend it on that, do your thing. And then finally, as always, if you just want a coaching session to do some career goals, to do some planning for 2021, we do have our $25 off with the code AMA to work with anyone here with us. I thank you from my heart for spending this time today We will be back in a couple of weeks at the next AMA, which is not, it's not for 3 weeks. It's going to be January 7th. Holy moly. You all are great. I'm going to cry. I will miss you. Thank you. And David, any last words as we sign off for the new year?
I, I say it every Ask Me Anything. I love the fact that all of you guys are here, dedicated to the craft. It's awesome. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I like the questions today. Siobhan, thank you so much for doing an awesome job. Another year with Edge Studio. Everyone, I wish you fantastic holidays and look forward to seeing you on the 7th of January.
Yes, and will leave you off with that with my Bruce Springsteen. These are better days, baby. Better days with a girl like you. Bye guys.